Greetings and God bless. Welcome to another episode of Pastor Mike, Dynamic Voices for a Diverse Church, powered by The Witness, a Black Christian collective. I'm your host, Tyler Burns. You can follow me on Instagram and X at Burns Clan. Please follow at your own risk. And joining me, as always, Dr. Jemar Tisby. What's going on, bro? I got to see if you missed the intro. I got to see if you missed the intro if I don't do it.
You know what I was thinking, though? You were like, I'm your host. Am I your co-host?
Hey, man, how do you classify yourself?
It was a lot missing this introduction. So anyway.
I always say I'm your host.
I know, but
I'm your master of ceremony. I'm your MC. I'm the guy. It doesn't imply that you're the guest. It could imply that you the keynote.
See, language matters. Yeah, see?
I'm here to move the party along. You know, that's just me. I'm here to keep things going, keep things moving, man.
The podcast DJ. No, I get it. I'm with you.
Though we were having this conversation before we hopped on the mic about who are the real ones in our lives. You know, that's a real common phrase, right? Everybody wants to be a real one, want to have people around you that are real ones. What does a real one mean? Break this down. You as a culture man of slang.
You the culture guy.
Cultural artifact king. Like, tell us, what does it mean to be a real? In your mind, what does it mean to be a real one?
I mean, first of all, it's a positive connotation.
Okay.
If you get called a real one, that's a good thing, right? So it's nice when it's there. I think it means a person of integrity, a person of empathy, a person who somehow has your back.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like it's often used in that context.
Yeah, an advocate.
Yeah. What about you?
So yeah, I would say it's the, Mike Lowry to your, what I'm saying? You got the Martin Lawrence, the Will Smith, it's like, you got a real one, somebody you've been through stuff with.
Yes.
Somebody that you can trust in times of uncertainty and confusion.
100%.
Someone who shows up for you. Also someone who just supports you. And also someone who's not going to allow what other people say about you to determine their view of you.
Right.
That's a big one for me.
Isn't that interesting? It sounds like a big part of being a real one is reliability, stability, consistency.
Yes.
They're a real one. And I feel like that phrase is really interesting. Real.
Yeah.
So real as opposed to phony, fake, false, faux, right? One, singular. This ain't for everybody.
Yeah. It's got a level of exclusivity.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a plural version of real one.
Real ones.
Right. I mean, you could say that. And it's so funny because you say they a real one, typically in slang.
Exactly. Yes. They're a real one. Absolutely.
Right.
So like, how have you experienced, like, how would you identify a real one, someone who graduates to that level and that space where they're like, they with you?
Thankfully, before
we even get to that, we got to talk about, like, how can you be a real one? Like, so, because people are talking about everybody being a real one. Like, how are you a real one? How do you know you've reached that level?
I think it's like a theme of the conversations we've been having around self-care, healing, growth. You can't be a real one to others unless you're a real one to yourself. You can't be a real one to others unless you're a real one to yourself, right? So if you don't show up for yourself, if you're not consistent for yourself, if you're not reliable for yourself, how can you be that to other people?
That's so good.
And it's the definition of not being a real one. If you don't show up for yourself, but you put yourself out there to show up for other people, there's actually a distance.
That's not real.
Yeah, it's not real.
I like that. I think also when people can trust you with things they wouldn't tell everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And not for the sake of sharing tea, but for the sake of bearing a burden. Like when you feel, I always feel really honored when people share with me stuff that they've been navigating. And when they say things like, oh, I didn't expect to say this.
I've never told anyone this.
Yeah, like I've never told anybody this.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to say this. I wasn't expecting to talk about all this today. I know this is a little bit much for what I was like, no, that's good. Like you trust me enough.
Especially as a pastor, that's a big one.
Yeah, to share this with you without judgment, without, feeling like I'm going to take it and use it against you, weaponizing it. especially people who have been through spiritual trauma, abuse. Real ones are the ones that you can like share with. And I think if we want to attract those, we have to be that for ourselves.
100%.
And we also have to be that for other people as well. I think another thing that's really interesting is real ones won't let you stay alone.
What you mean?
Like they're gonna not let you stay isolated. Like they're gonna be persistent, and they're also not gonna allow the season of life you're in to like let you stay where you are. Like, nah, you may have pulled away for a season. But are we coming after you? Like, we gonna go get you.
Big time.
Like,
Big
what's
time.
going on? Like, how you doing? What's
Yeah.
happening in your life? I think that's really special. And I think we see that all throughout our lives. We need real ones in this journey. Like, we need people who will be for us because it gets lonely and isolated out here. And beyond just getting lonely and isolated, a lot of times that attack and those attacks that we get from all different sides and sources can be completely overwhelming. And what I've said before on the podcast is one word of encouragement is greater than 1,000 words of critique. There's something about it that just having someone say
From a real one.
From a real one.
Because it's like online, you can get 1,000 compliments, and that one negative comment is the one you
It's
stick
the one
with.
that like amplifies.
Right.
But when someone says, no, I'm proud of the growth you've shown in this area. I'm proud of how you've addressed this in your life. I'm proud of how you've gone the extra mile for your family. I'm proud of how you've dealt with everything that shifted in your church community. Like, I'm proud of that. That one comment means more than the whole internet.
Sound like you got a story.
Nah, I mean, I have real ones in my life. You know, I have some people who it's been hard to make. Why is it hard to maintain relationships with people and be like, be a real, like, that's hard.
It
And
takes
so
so much time.
I think I've lost more real ones than I have, you know, like
Lost connection.
I think I've fallen off in terms of connection, in terms of camaraderie, in terms of true community, fully seen, fully known, fully loved, you know.
100%.
Like the whole idea of known, loved, and challenged, you know. Like I think I've fallen off more in that because it's hard to maintain. And sometimes I think it's because like there's a level of vulnerability and transparency.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes. So to know someone's a real one, it's an experiential thing. They have to have shown up in a circumstance where they could have gone a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
And they took the route of supporting you, being there for you, affirming you, all of those things. But more than likely, that circumstance was a moment of vulnerability for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a moment where you felt like you couldn't keep your shield up or your armor up.
Yeah.
You had to put it down, whether you wanted to or not. But when you did, they didn't take advantage. They didn't shrink away. And I do think there is something to that of it's hard to maintain those kinds of relationships.
Yeah.
Simply because they take a lot of quality time.
And I think there's also this idea of, man, like you can handle my vulnerability, but I don't know if I can.
Man, yes, say that.
Like you can handle it. Like somebody receives it and they don't treat you differently. And I'm like, but I don't know if I can treat myself the same. Because I shared what was really in my heart. And it was vulnerable for me.
It
to
feels
share that.
weird.
Yeah, now I feel exposed.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's a whole other layer of work you got to do in therapy.
Because even the affirmations that you're talking about from a real one, right? Receiving that in the spirit in which it is given is also a struggle to just like, no, just take the compliment, man. But it's deeper than that. It's like, receive the affirmation. Receive the reminder of your divine dignity.
And this is the hard part is I think we find ourselves with empty cups or low levels of feeling like we're affirmed and seen and loved. Yet at the same time, we don't do well at receiving compliments.
So we're empty and people try to fill it up and we're like,
none for
me.
Just toss
thanks.
it back. No, thank you. No, thank you, please. Just covering up your glass.
I'm full, but your cup is empty. I can't.
Nah. Don't worry about that. It's all gone. It's all gone.
That's
it's like,
a good one.
what? Like,
yeah.
And I feel like the real ones are like, no, like remove your hand. Like we need to actually fill your cup. We need you to receive this. We need to tell you this. You need to receive it and not deflect.
I feel like for me, the real ones are the ones who are almost insistent in their grace. So I find myself gravitating toward people who are therapists, if they're good, and they're not all good.
Oh, for sure.
But some of my closest folks are therapists, and the only reason I think that profession is relevant in this conversation about real ones is if they're a good therapist, they're well acquainted with their own brokenness.
Yes.
They get in, they probe, they do the work. They're doing the work because it's never done. I think a real one is safe.
Yeah.
They feel safe. And then it's going to be, for me, a long process.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
To
years.
To say, yeah, this
That's
is
a real one.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean perfect. I think
Yeah.
we should distinguish that. Safe doesn't mean perfect. Safe means you can trust them with your hurt, with your vulnerability, and with your mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things in romantic relationships that is a really good sign is when you can disagree, have it out, and there's no doubt that
Where
this
you
person's going to
stand.
stay with
Yeah,
you.
where you stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clean fighting, you know.
Exactly. And it does take that conflict, right? But that's also one of the ones, how you show up in conflict and how the other person shows up in conflict is one of the things that determines, are they a real one? Are you a real one?
You said something about insistent grace. Like they're persistent and insistent with their grace. It feels random, but I feel like it connects. You know, one of the things that I can't stand when people say, God is a gentleman.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
It's all the time. Like, oh, he stands at the door, he knocks, he doesn't barge your door down, he doesn't he's gonna let you decide, he's gonna let you, and I get the implication, right? The implication is God cares about consent, even if people don't know that's what they're saying. Like that is the implication, like he wants your will, he wants your heart, he doesn't just want, just say like, oh man, I'm just gonna come in and just make you do this. But the reason why I don't like it is it kind of makes God seem passive. And it makes God seem passive about the love and the grace that he gives to us. And I think God chases us down with grace.
Yeah.
When we want to run,
Right.
he chases us down.
Right.
When we feel like we need to hide, he says, no, where are you? Like he's looking for Adam, in the garden. Like, where you at? Like we see you always hang. Like, where you at? Like, why'd you hide? Like, why'd you cover up? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't feel like God is as passive as we made him. And I think that's why I think real ones who stay persistent and consistent and insistent with us in grace mean so much because they feel like that's what God's love feels like. It's chasing us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you want to hide, you want to run from, I'm not worthy. Well, whether you're worthy or not, like I still give it to you. Like whether you feel like that's the thing, like that's not the question.
Yeah.
Like you're beloved, like you're one of us. I think that's really, when you said that, made me think of that image that people often have of God saying, well, when you're ready, I'm here.
Yeah, because most of the time, I think with a lot of people, hubris is definitely an issue. Arrogance is definitely an issue. But for so many people, I don't know, anecdotally, it seems like a majority of people, the issue is a lower sense of self-esteem than we should have.
Oof.
A sense of unworthiness.
Oof.
A sense of unworthiness. And when you really encounter a real one who shows you that much grace, that much patience, that much love, you're almost like, it's too good. Do you know who I am, what I've done, what I struggle with, how I feel about myself? And they're like, doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's good, bro. All right, we need to shout out some real ones after the break. Got to shout out some real ones after the break. We'll be right back here on Pastor Mike. Well, greetings and God bless, family. This is your host of Pastor Mike, Tyler Burns, and I am so excited that we're still doing Pastor Mike 11 years after we started. Think about this. 11 years after we started, we're still doing this. And the reason why we can do it is because people like you have supported us from the beginning. We would not still be here if not for the support of people who are our patrons. And if you go to patreon.com/PassTheMic, if this podcast has helped you in any way, shape, or form, if we've encouraged you to think more deeply about race and justice, if we've inspired you to make change right where you are, if we've been an oasis in the desert in the midst of toxic church spaces, we need your help. We need your support. For just a few dollars every single month, you can keep us going. You literally, as our listeners, keep us going. So head to patreon.com/PassTheMic. We're passing the mic to you for your support so that we can continue doing this podcast that so many people love. Thank you so much for your support. If you are already a patron, and if you're not, just a few dollars a month. Thank you so much. All right, so Jemar, we've been talking about this idea of real ones. This is really good. This is interesting. It's making me think about relationships, proximity, community.
It's making me think about the show Hot Ones.
Hot ones, real ones. That what we gonna do? Like that's what we're gonna do.
Should we have some hot sauce up here while we talk?
Right, we're gonna do we're gonna actually give out real ones awards like every week. Like, all right, our real one award is, you know some people who are some people from afar that you don't know? It seemed like they're probably a real one. Like whether it's in history or because you're a history guy. Like, oh my god, from afar, is there anybody you like? Yeah, they're probably like a real one for real.
I mean, I always talk about her. Fannie Lou Hamer is a
Fannie
real
Lou
one.
Hamer, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Because she did one of the real clear signs. She didn't change her language.
Yeah,
she didn't change her cadence. She didn't even change where she lived. Like definition of a real one is like I'm gonna go into the fields in the Mississippi Delta or the Democratic National Convention, and I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, I got the biggest platform I could have received.
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna go back.
And not only that, like the thing that doesn't really make the headlines about someone like Hamer is she knew her neighbors, took care of them. She took in little daughters as basically adopted them as her own. If somebody was in need, and she knew about it, she was going to do something about it.
Yeah,
real one.
That's the truth.
Yeah,
I think of Ida B. Wells, man.
Ooh,
yeah. I think that's a real one. Like, all right, pull up, like, pull up to the crib. That's what you want to do.
She said a Winchester rifle should be a cherished artifact in any black person's home.
I got the Winchester. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to document lynchings. Like, I want to figure out, that type of stuff. Like, entering into pain and just being like, I'm gonna stay true to me.
And part of what motivated her work as an investigative journalist was when her friends in Memphis, their store was burned down, they were killed, and she was so outraged. She began researching stories of lynching and said, we need to bring this to light.
Yeah.
So she was a real one in just stepping up and being faithful to her friends in that moment.
I know this seems like, we talk about music industry, so I don't know who's real and who's not, whatever. So I hesitate to even say, but from an artistic perspective, just from like someone staying true to themselves, but also showing up for their friends and stuff like that, D'Angelo has always been something.
Wow. Throwback.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro. Like, one of my two favorite musicians ever.
For real? I didn't know D'Angelo was up there like that for you.
Yeah, Fred Hammond and D'Angelo. Those are the two. Those are my two. Like, I'll drop anything, go see him live, everything. I've never seen D'Angelo live. So that's something I hope to do.
So gift us some tickets.
Yeah. If you know somebody, if your cousin works on the road team or whatever. But what's famous about him is like, I don't know how he is interpersonally. I don't know anything like that. But what I see is he built something really special with Questlove and Dilla and Common and Erykah Badu, the Soulquarians. Like, he built something really special, like a sound. And what it is he came with a group of people. Like, he connected with a group of people, and he really like built with those people. He built a sound with them. And I also love the fact that he's staying true to himself.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, hey, I'm
not following a fad.
I'll release an album in 5 years if I want to, 10 years if I want to. Like, okay, I've released 3 albums. So, like, you're not going to rush me. Like, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to find what's authentic and real to me. And I feel like he shows up like that for other people too, which is really dope.
Obviously, I don't know him. I wish I did. But this actor I really hope is a real one.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Of course, bro. Like he carries himself like he is.
Yes.
And like, bro, the way he does things, I'm like, man, please be real.
Right after the slap,
Yeah.
he was the first one to go up to Will Smith.
Yeah.
He was like,
as soon as you get at that high level,
yeah,
here come the devil.
exactly,
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like he took that pastoral counselor wise guide
but it's almost
role.
like he could tell, like, hey, you probably gonna win tonight. You know, like you probably, and he ends up winning later.
This might
like,
be your moment,
like, bro. This might be
yeah.
your moment, and you
Yeah.
up here like,
Right.
like, bro,
Right.
You know.
And then there was that interview with Jamie Foxx. I think it was with Jamie Foxx, but he kept it real. He was just like, he was talking about leaving a party with a plate. He's like,
oh yeah, I'm leaving with something.
I'm from round way. I'm gonna leave with something. It's like,
that was hilarious.
And the the other real one. Go keep going.
No.
It
was, but I was just gonna say when I saw him in Chicago. He was in the neighborhood in
saw
Chicago.
Him. Oh yeah,
Not like literally saw him on the video. Like I saw him in Chicago,
yep.
And he was just
on the
like
block.
everybody was just like talking to. Us like, yeah, what's up, man? Yeah. You know. And then I saw him another video of him overseas, and he was acting the same way he was acting in Chicago. Overseas, It was like Italy or something like. I was like,
I love.
Oh no, that's being real. Like when you straight up.
That's
like,
that you cross international waters and you still from around the way
for sure.
Again, another one who I hope is a real one, but seeing him interact with his wife made me think he's a real one. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, just the way that relationship that they have it's funny. He honors her. They know each other super well.
Yeah.
There's nobody. It doesn't seem like one's trying to outshine the other. So again, I don't know these people.
Yeah, we don't know these people. So
I hope it's true.
What about in our personal lives? Like, is there
man.
anybody you want to shout out? That's like
a whole bunch of real ones. I'll just give you one historical example from my life. I remember in the wake of the 2016 election and Trump getting elected, and I was devastated. I was just like, yo, what is going on specifically with the church, white evangelicalism, racial reconciliation? And my pastor, who's a white guy of that white evangelical church, I still got the text. He texted me and he was just like, yo, I'm shook too. He didn't use that. He's a very white guy.
Right.
But he basically said,
I'm flummoxed. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What would he would have said? I want to know what people think he would have said in that moment.
But it was such a real one moment because, like we were talking about earlier, he reached out to me. Yeah. Like I didn't blast him and I was like, yo, this is wild. What are you gonna say to the church or anything? Yeah. He had enough wherewithal and sensitivity to be like, Jemar's probably hurting.
Yeah.
Let me reach out. I was like, yo, that's a real one move right there.
That's crazy. That's really dope. Man, I got two definitely in my life, man. Ray and Jesse. Outside of the ones everybody knows on PTM, like obviously, PTM The Witness, whatever, is full of real ones. But Ray and Jesse are that for me, for sure. Like definitely safe space, real people, been through a lot, see me up, down, sideways, like really have inserted themselves as like, when I'm ghost, like they'll be like, yo, we miss you. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, we just want to let you know we miss you.
That's
you
big.
Know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
big.
Okay, it's not, your friendship doesn't do anything to advance us or give us any sort of clout or whatever, but they've been some of the truest friends I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And just consistent forces for good, and always reminded me of my worth. And also always reminded me to like be proud of myself,
That's good.
In small and large moments.
Got to.
For real.
Got to. I got to shout out, of course, the ladies of Truth's Table.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Kemeny and Christina.
Like, seriously.
Like,
I just announced I was doing the Speak Up Lab thing. She's not going to want me to say this, but like I just announced I was doing the Speak Up Lab thing. And beyond just both of them sharing it, Dr. Edmondson was like, hey, I'd love to, like, I know this is far away from me, but I'd love to sponsor 2 kids. Like, you send me the information to like sponsor.
That's fantastic.
It's like a real one
That's
thing.
A real,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like
unsolicited.
I didn't even bring up sponsorships yet.
Yes.
Like she's just like opening up the door for that.
That's amazing.
Which is like, she's the truth. And Kemeny, I mean, it goes beyond
I mean,
saying,
talk about integrity.
like pure,
Just
holy, like pure,
yes.
like steadfast, like the
Righteousness is
epitome
still
of that.
right, and she don't care who's in the room.
Yeah, and she gonna be the same way everywhere.
Yes.
And I love, like, I think the thing that really encourages me about E is like, you know, Kimini will do, just because she has strong convictions doesn't mean she'll run from spaces where those convictions could be challenged or whatever it is. Like, she'll be at the UN.
Yeah.
And she'll be at other, it's like, what?
Show
like,
up righteously.
Right.
You know?
Like, and so she'll engage, you know.
And even in friendly spaces, like, she's challenged me.
Oh, me too, bro. You know, yo, like, you got to show up different. Like,
yes.
I'm like,
elevate
okay.
the game.
Yeah, like, I'm like, my bad. You know, it's like, yo, let me calibrate. You know what I'm saying? Man, definitely, man, Dr. Hart Ramsey has been like a real one for me. You know, and a mentor in ways I can't even say on the pod, man. Like, seriously. He has shown up for me, like, real talk.
I met him once, and especially when it's like spirit empowered, you can sense it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I would love to build with this brother.
Oh, man, bro. He loves your work too.
Bro.
Like, before he was actually mentoring me, he had mentioned on a pastor's call, like, somebody asked him what he was reading. And he mentioned one other book. He was like, the second book I'm reading that's really transformational. I encourage all pastors to read it. It's The Color of Compromise.
Wow.
Like, I was like, yo,
awesome.
I said, man, I'm going to tell Dr. Tisby he going to love this, you know?
Yo.
And then we got close, and to see he's really on that tip. Like, he really cares.
I mean, you can sense it almost instantaneously. Another one on the mentor tip, who's a real one for me, got to shout out William E. Pennell.
Dr. Bill Pennell. Of course. I knew it was coming,
and
bro.
Shout out to Fuller Studio and the folks there. They just produced a 2-hour documentary called The Gospel According to Bill Pennell. It is available for free online. Definitely check it out.
Oh, snap.
But my man is 96 years young. And talk about finishing the race well. I was thinking about him earlier, and I was like, man, this man is in his 10th decade of life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing but respect.
Absolutely.
You know, skeletons been coming out of the closet.
That's
nothing.
Incredible.
You know, married to his wife, I think, for 66 years before she passed. And just like, yo, that's how I want to be.
Yeah. Like, legit.
And
like,
legend that he is, humble enough. I mean, I remember connecting with him years ago. Be like, yo, I'm a grad student looking into Black evangelicalism. Would you mind talking to me about your relationship with Tom Skinner? Just that he replied at all.
Yeah.
But then was like so gracious, so happy, so almost taken aback that people still know him and talk about him. It's wild.
Never forget, he reached out to me on Facebook years ago and sent me a message that was in my request for weeks because I didn't know even how to access that folder. Just encouraging me based upon past. I didn't even know who he was. Just encouraging. Then you find out who he is. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I'm going to cherish this. Yeah. Like,
yes.
Man, for real, a real one, like a pioneer, a trailblazer.
Right.
So I got this episode, like it's just shout out the person who kind of gave me this idea, but my guy Adrian, man, Adrian is a real one for real. He's been a real one in my life. Lives in Tallahassee, loves his community, loves his family, loves his church. Creative, encourages the disruption in me a lot. You know, he's like, man, you got to disrupt. Like, that's who you are. You know, you got to find some place to disrupt. And he really gave me this paradigm shifting idea of if you don't have a place to disrupt, you're going to disrupt the place where you in. Doesn't matter where you are. Like, you got to find a place. So I got to shout him out, man. Thank you for this episode. He said, man, I don't think my episode going to get on the docket. I said, we doing it right now, bro. Like, what you mean? Like, so shout out to
requests.
We take requests, man. We doing it right now. So for sure, man, I think this is really fascinating for us to just take stock. There's so many more we could name, but
absolutely.
I think it's fascinating.
We didn't name you, and it ain't because you ain't a real one. But
oh no, for real. Like, we probably, if you listen to the pod, especially you talk about like the people, top 5 people in our lives or something like that, people we've been encouraged by, inspired by, whatever. Like, you'll know who our real ones are, and then especially if anybody who steps on the mic like here,
right,
like they're real,
right,
like
right.
You know, Bo, Ryan, Ali, like, you know, anybody who sits on the mic with us, like, we consider them a real one for real.
Yeah. So does that mean I'm a real one,
bro? Come on, man. What we talking about? What we talking about, man? This is Even if I don't give you the full intro, you still a real one in my book.
I'm right back.
And I don't know if I'm still a real one.
You're
if I
still
don't
a
give
real one
Okay,
for
all right.
sure. For sure.
Man, y'all already know what it is. Who are the real ones in your life? If you don't have somebody, identify somebody. I think one of the best things that you can do, this is what I found, is tell somebody. Give somebody flowers while they're here. We've been able to do that. We got a podcast to be able to do that. But tell somebody while they're here. As always, you can reach out to us. We're on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these crispy episodes. Crispy Ryan doing his good work on these episodes. And then obviously you can subscribe to us wherever podcasts are. Follow us on IG, and you can also support patreon.com/pass the mic. Well, shout out to all y'all for being real ones.
Real
listening
ones.
to
Thank you.
this podcast.
Yes.
We'll see you soon on the next
Pass the mic.